Welcome to another edition of Here's Why. My name is Jimmy Talbert, joined with Dom Faussette.
Got it.
Executive coach and leadership speaker.
Nailed it.
I did do it right that time.
Good.
So today we're going to be talking about common traits, common characteristics, and habits that a lot of people have that will make others distrust you. And we're going to be looking at this from kind of three different perspectives, though a lot of the traits are similar across
They cross the boards and genres.
But from the perspective of speaking in front of a live audience, the perspective of speaking on camera or in videos, and then also the perspective of when you're in a sales conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start by one of the first things that I think of is when people smile at somewhat inappropriate times. So let me. I'm thinking of an actual.
You
situation.
see it in your head. I can see it by the smile.
So there was an interview, and the individual was talking about something really sad. It was based on kind of some of the stuff going on right now and
Fair
people
enough.
suffering. And I'm sure he was just uncomfortable.
Awkward. Got
But
it. Okay.
a lot of people will smile when they're uncomfortable. And so he's kind of smiling while he's explaining, some of the economic impacts of some of the things that are happening.
Okay.
And it came across slimy.
I can see that.
And I made me think about it. And, this is a very, I think, something that people will naturally do if they're not paying attention. But
Was it on TV?
yeah.
He probably was told, always smile on camera. So I've heard coaches tell people that, especially like if you're about to be on Fox News or NBC, they'll say, smile when you're on camera. 3 people died yesterday, right? And if you're not accustomed to being on camera, that definitely happens, but it does obviously cause distrust.
What do you think of when you think of that?
From a stage standpoint, so some of the things that people do that immediately cause distrust is not being prepared, right? I've seen speakers, not comedians, but speakers, start with a joke that has it's not funny. So if you tell a joke and your audience doesn't laugh, you've already discredited yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing people do is speakers you might see on stage, they lose eye contact with the audience. And again, that falls right back into not being prepared.
Sure.
Or and we've all seen this, where there's a disconnect between the remote, the projector, the PowerPoint. I try not to use PowerPoints. One of the things that I do that draws the trust in is I use an easel pad.
Okay.
And I use an easel pad because it's paper. And I use the paper because the last time most people heard the sound of paper during a presentation was either like elementary school or children's church.
Right.
Places where you're more open. But we're talking about the distrust factors. I could easily go rabbit.
Yeah.
Not being prepared just from a speaking standpoint, or just being, and we've all seen it, the guy that's usually a guy comes up on stage and he is just a little arrogant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Overconfidence.
Way overconfident, right? And talking down to an audience. These things cause distrust.
Yeah, I think that goes with just not mirroring, not understanding maybe who your audience is first, and not mirroring their level of energy, their understanding of the topic that you're speaking about.
Truth.
And yeah, overall, you don't talk the same in a boardroom meeting as you do in.
You shouldn't.
on camera, right? But that's what happens. Another thing that I notice is just awkward pauses. So like mid-sentence, and sometimes if I'm trying to think of what to say or I can't get the words out, I have a little bit of a natural stutter when I was younger, and so I'll pause for a second. But I've seen it where maybe someone's asked a question, and they get midway through a sentence, and then they have to swallow.
Oh, and their mouth gets dry.
And you're going, all right, what's happening here?
Right.
Because it just
he's mutating.
It seems like they're trying to think of a lie to tell. And
that's a natural response for somebody who lies. So as an ex-cop, right, the natural, you start to lose, you get nervous, right? So you start to lose saliva, and it's a natural.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that they are lying or that they're not lying. You don't know either way, but it just naturally start to trust them much, much less.
Just think about the sounds of your voice when you order food.
Yeah.
You're not lying.
Right.
May I please have a large hamburger, not large fries, drink, but you don't gulp.
Hamburger.
Right. Hamburger should be large if you're going to order. Anyway, but you don't lose saliva. You don't get nervous. You don't gulp. You just talk. I found once, and this information was brought to me. The information was, Dom, you sound too perfect. And I delivered a 45-minute speech.
Sort of a pompous thing to bring up. But
no. It cost.
I'm joking. Damn it, you were good.
But it wasn't good.
Right.
I delivered a leadership speech, and it was so perfect. Like, I didn't stutter, and I'm a natural stutterer. I never lost eye contact with the audience, but I over-prepped. And one of the leaders in the class, he came to me afterwards, and I asked for feedback. I was like, hey, what do you think? He said the content was good, but I couldn't connect with you because it was too perfect.
It dehumanized you almost.
It did. I was very robotic. So going forward, I embraced the fact that I stutter, and I changed the inflection in my voice. So as crazy as that sounds, if you over-prep, you can be distrusted.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at like I think about when like Zuckerberg was in front of Congress.
That was interesting.
He talks kind of like a robot anyways.
He's very robotic.
And so when he's explaining things, it was very just almost like he had these memorized answers already. I don't think he did. I think that's actually just how he talks.
Right.
I guess I have no opinion about it either way.
Right. But you sit in front of Congress. You might get nervous and be robotic.
That's right. Yeah,
I think that's the best time to be robotic.
But it did come across very unauthentic. And I think it's the same thing, though it wasn't because he was so perfect. It was because he wasn't human. He wasn't normal.
Right.
And that just, I think anytime you come across unauthentic, or, we did the other video where we talked about ways to reduce anxiety when you're on camera or in front of on stage and things that you could do there. It's a lot of the same things,
same
right?
gestures, same traits. Definitely.
Because when you can tell someone's anxiety is very high, they overtalk or
they don't breathe.
Everything that we talked
Right,
about.
yeah.
Right?
But these things cause distrust.
Yeah, that's right. I've noticed at times when I go too fast on things. So especially when I think back when I do webinars, there was a few times where I had something back to back. I was doing a webinar for our company, and then I had another one with a partner, that was really, we were pushing the timeline. And so I could fly through my content really, really quick.
That makes sense.
And then I would see that it would convert lower than other ones that I had done where I presented essentially the same content.
It just sounds like you're selling.
That's right.
And nobody likes to be sold, even though they're on a web anyways.
Little do they know I can't read that fast.
Right.
So it was just memory.
Exactly.
But like I said, I think it reduces your authenticity as a whole.
Speaking of cameras, the very, very common mistake that I see people do on any social media platform is, and this is going to cause distrust, instead of looking at the camera, so there's a little pinhole in front of your phone where you should be looking if you're talking to your audience. But what most people do,
look at themselves.
They look at themselves.
I'm guilty of this.
We all are. I see myself looking at myself, and I bring my eyes right back up. But that little shift, the disconnect or connect with your audience, that's how that happens.
Right. Difference of when you can tell someone's reading off of a teleprompter compared
if they're
to,
not good.
Well, when you can tell that they are.
You did say that. I like how you just kind of, let me just repeat that.
Let me just repeat what I said, Mr. Faussette. But when you can tell someone's reading off a teleprompter, it doesn't seem authentic because they're clearly just reading what either they or potentially someone else wrote.
Correct.
So how do you know if they're actually feeling what's there? And people connect with emotion.
People do connect with emotion.
People make decisions, emotional decisions, whether we like it or not.
Unfortunately,
it happens.
But it works for sales.
Yeah, it absolutely can. But and then, what are some other things that I guess you've noticed or in your career?
On camera, too excited.
Yeah.
Overly, and this has nothing. I don't think it has
sales
anything to do.
too.
Is it?
Oh,
yeah. Maybe I'm just not around that many people, but I see it on camera.
Dom, I can't wait to tell you about this great thing.
You see that with a lot of younger, not age, younger in experience entrepreneurs. I went to a sales meeting once. It was online, and we had a Zoom call. And he's like, "Oh, this is gonna be," and I just said, "Dude, calm, tone it down, pump the brakes,
take it back a notch."
Because what that did as an experienced businessman. When somebody comes, just think about this. When somebody comes to you very calm and really could care less whether you buy their product or not, like they're just saying, "Hey, I got this product. It can help you out. These are the things that it does. This is the business that you have. And the conversation sounds like that versus, oh man, this is going to be fire. Like what we're going to be able to do, you'll be able to make $1 million in a year. You don't, and I had to tell them, you don't know that. You've never made $1 million.
Right.
So there was a lack of trust. And you just got to be comfortable putting people in their place. But if you're the type of person that, because you have limited experience in results, that's typically where that comes from. You come across, wow, look at what I can do. Nobody, it doesn't work.
Laying it on too thick.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, it actually does work.
It does work from time to time,
yes.
but I don't
shouldn't do it.
I don't think that it's sustainable either.
It's definitely not a good business.
You're going to give yourself a heart attack before.
Very true.
And it is better than, I think, being too toned down. Like we talked about, where you're just a robot.
Yeah, okay, like the robot. You're right.
Or like you're scripted.
Mm-hmm.
I think ultimately that's just about humanizing.
It is.
Because most humans aren't overly excited about everything in the world. And it's like, well, yeah, I can tell now that this guy, drank a Red Bull right before this, and now he's ready to pitch me.
I always use this suggestion when I'm coaching people just on speaking on camera. The sound that you have when you order food, maybe multiply that by 2. So my natural food order would be, "Sir, what would you like to drink?" I'll take a Arnold Palmer, and I will, for an appetizer, I will take A, B, and C. So my camera voice, "Hey, welcome to Think React Lead. My name is Dom Faussette." So you hear the variance, but what that does is it still makes me sound human, but it also makes me sound like a professional.
It's still your personality.
It is.
But yeah, I agree. You do need you take things up a little bit when, like I said, when you're on camera or in front of people.
Correct.
But you don't take it too high. Too high is unauthentic.
Unless you're selling ShamWows.
Well, yeah,
then
that's true.
It worked for that guy.
So unless you're in the chamois business, the orange chamois business.
That's still a thing?
I don't know.
Anyways, I digress. I just haven't seen them around for a while.
Yeah.
What about sales? I know sales is kind of, everybody sells, but that's kind of your jam.
Yeah. For me, it was always, I think, more about being inquisitive. Mm-hmm. That was something I had to kind of train myself on. One of my favorite books was question-based selling.
Okay.
And learning to shut up, because
that's hard. That took me a long time.
The thing that drives me nuts more than anything is when someone doesn't even do kind of the temperature check to see where you're at. They're just go. It's the information dump, and it comes off completely unauthentic. The other thing is when anytime someone's scripted. Mm-hmm. First of all, to go back to that, a lot of things are the same still. But then also, if they're not mirroring you, you can be a reserved person in how you. The way I sell, I would say, is more reserved. I'd ask questions, but then there's a time where you should be. If you're excited about what you're selling, that's okay.
Right.
But there's a time and a place for it. It's usually not your opening line.
No.
It's, hey, well, based on what I've learned, you show them that you're listening. I'm really excited about actually what this is going to mean for you. And then you're giving them reasons that are based on what they told you and their pain points and how whatever you're selling can help them.
Now, do you have an example where somebody tried to sell you, but then their approach caused distrust within you?
I think of an actual example.
For me, it's always the windshield guys.
Yes,
those guys,
that'll
horrible sales guys.
Absolutely. Did you have more to add to that?
I did. I was going to let you do your thing. So think about the windshield guy, and if you're in the States, you go to any, sometimes gas station, sometimes a car wash, and there will be a guy that comes, looks at your window, and he's usually pretty sketch because that's not the job you want out of high school. Something went wrong in a person's life. Now they're replacing windshields, or they've got the pad in their hand, but they just come up real sketch. Oh, you want to get this done? That's not their voice. Maybe it is, but that's how I'm going to lightly use the word influencers in the social media realm. That's how they come across from a sales perspective.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be great. Well, first of all, you don't even know me to know that it's going to be great. My sales calls are very templatized, but there's 17 questions that I ask.
I have a format. The sales process is different from a script.
Truth, very, very true.
And yeah, there has to be a process because you're going to discover. You get into sort of rapport, and then there's the discovery phase, and then the rest of the presentation that leads up to the recommendation of whether or not they should buy. But I mean, the way that I would always start it is, hey, we're going to talk about this, we're going to talk about that, and at the end of the day, you should be able to make an educated decision on if this is what you want to do or not.
One of the things that I use, and I'm bringing this up only because we're talking sales briefly. Anytime I'm on a consultation, the first thing I say, not the first, obviously there's the good day, sir, how are you? Right? There's that.
Yeah.
But I say, look, there's three things, one of three ways we're going to end this call. Yes, I'm in. No, I'm not. Or let me think about it. Those are your three options. But let's agree to a yes, a no, and let's agree to not have the I'll get back to you later. I use that to set the tone of the call. And what I have found is when people just start blurting out what their product can do for me, as opposed to setting the stage of the call, I lose trust in them. When somebody hits me up and they set the stage or the tone, like they control the call, which I'm totally cool with if it's their product, it allows me to, okay, they've done this before.
Well, and I think that what I said is essentially the same thing, just in different words. You're going to know whether or not this is the right fit for you.
Right.
I'm not getting the same commitment as what you were saying, but it's a softer way to say it. Hey, basically at the end of this call, if you don't know either way, then either we both missed something here, or I'm just way off today. But in most cases, it's if by the end of this, from what I'm going to learn about you, from what you're going to learn about me, we're going to decide, can we do business together?
Right.
Is this something that's going to benefit you? Is it something that we can work off of?
Another thing that I have found that causes distrust is not having a time frame on your call. So because a lot of things are done over the phone or Skype call, Zoom call, when I first started in the space that I'm in, the coaching and speaking, the sales calls or the consultations, which is a sales call, they would just go.
Right.
And then that caused distrust because it looked like I wasn't organized, which hindsight, I wasn't. So lack of organization can cause distrust.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you tell somebody this call is going to be 30 minutes, the time now is 10:02. You got on the call at 10. Time is 10:02. We will end at 10:30. Like you're respecting the person's time.
That's true.
And it stops you from talking.
Which
a lot.
I mean, yeah, that's the biggest thing is when you get too much of someone else talking without learning enough about you.
Very true.
And I think that's the same with almost anything.
No matter what platform.
It doesn't matter what you're selling.
Very true.
Understanding them and what their needs are and what's important to them is, I think, the most important thing. And when you don't, for me, it's a turnoff. And I don't know if that's just because I've been in sales. I think it's because
it is for me as well.
When they're making statements and I haven't told them anything,
right,
or they've only asked close-ended questions, that I have to say yes to.
Yes or no, right? And they learned that from some sales coach or some sales script.
Someone else who wasn't a good salesman.
Right, exactly. Who sold them a product.
Yeah,
obviously
right.
he got them. But it's, what was I going to say? The distrust, I think, on in-person sales conversations or even doing webinars or any video, I think the comments, the approach to comments, I think they're all the same, give or take some parameters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think if you lead too early into all about you, as opposed to making it about them, and I guess that kind of sums it up, even with the tone, the body language, the everything, making it about them, the questions you ask. That when it's about them, it makes sense. I was with actually shooting some other stuff with an old friend of mine. And one thing he talks about in his sales trainings is when you can love your client more than yourself. Okay. So when you can put their needs ahead of yours, you'll be successful in sales. And I think that's true. It sounds kind of lame at first. It does to the uneducated brain, right? Or the unemotional, intelligent brain. Yes. But it makes a lot of sense. And what I heard is, if you're chasing money, then you're going to come off very salesy. There's going to be a lot of distrust. But if you've actually built a product and it's going to benefit somebody, then who it's not going to benefit, and you're willing to tell them that. I think that's a big part of where that goes. Is hey, this, and I've done that before when I've sold it. This, your business probably just isn't ready for this now, but here's some other things you could do to lead up to that, and and people respect it, and sometimes they'll come back, no, it actually is, and then they'll rattle off some other reasons that they hadn't told me before, and okay, well, maybe we can talk about that. And I would say try it, and that's a sales technique. It's kind of a takeaway. I don't in some ways use it as a sales technique, but I'm an executive coach. I'm not a good coach for somebody who's never had a coach before. I'll tell people that, I'm like, bro, just looking at your social media platform, looking at how you show up in life, get a pre-coach before you come to me. I'm probably not the right fit for you. No. You are. I'll do everything you say. I'm like, oh, okay, well, give it a month. Come back to me in 30 days. That's funny. Yeah, we'll check it out then. I mean, and I just think anybody who has a product to sell, or anybody so if you speak on camera, on stage, I think every day is sales, no matter what you do. When you know who you are and what you're about, you don't need to be overexcited. And you're comfortable with it. Comfortable with who you are. That's right. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, the word of the day is authenticity. I would say that. Let's not spell it, because I might mess that up. No, I for sure can't. I don't know if you've seen me try to spell anything. So authenticity. We'll put it up on the screen. Yes, you see it? Boom. Or this way. Someone else will spell check it first. Right. Done and done. So, well, I think that's it for today. Yeah. So, thank you so much for watching today. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you're looking for an executive coach, check out domfaussette.com. Boom, there it is. Think, React, Lead. And thank you so much for joining. You guys have a good day.